The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
It is the year of our Lord, 2026. And I lived through the Satanic Panic. I was but a lad, but I've studied the culture. And there was a time when throwing the word Satan onto something, in and of itself, made it at least somewhat interesting. You can buy the Satanic Bible at the Barnes and Nobles next to the smut where the girls have sex with pumpkin spice lattes and pillows and doors.
Well, and the cuck chair gives commentary.
Yeah.
Not someone in the cuck chair, the actual cuck chair, because it's sentient.
Right. With everything going on in the world and what's gone on in the world over at least the last 25 years or so, Satanism has to be the least interesting thing that used to be interesting. And yet here we are.
It's up there.
I mean, does anyone really care if someone else is like a Satanist now? I mean, if you're the kind of Satanist that's committing felonies, what's more interesting is the actual felony, not the embracement of sin, desire, impulse disorder that is essentially Satanism.
Again, let me push back ever so slightly, because for the most part, I agree with you. For the vast majority of it, I agree with you. The ever so slight bit is largely the modern understanding of Satanism, which at this point is less about it has the actual like occult stuff as a backdrop to the horrible things that the rich and powerful do together.
Okay.
But that's about it. Like, you're right that, like, as a general movement, no, at this point, oh, look at that person with a pentagram tattooed on them. No one cares.
So when I see it in movies, like, I think it's not Shaun of the Dead, the one after it, Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, where they're all like either overt or covert Satanists.
Yeah, they're just a cult. They're dressed in robes, but there's no religious component to it one way or the other.
That's what I mean by overt or covert. I mean, basically, there's the allusion to Satanism whenever you see a lot of these robed cults in movies, and I'm not going to keep doing this because it's going to be too much of a distraction, but this person would like to let us know that they love condoms, and so do Satanists, so you're in good company.
Your profile picture indicates at least a couple of children, so you've done that much right.
My point is, so we can move on with this. If you're going to make a movie that hovers around Satanism, more to the point, if you're going to do a movie that is going to approximate a meditation on a divergence of Satanism, please make it more interesting than this fucking movie, Psycho Killer, which we are discussing tonight on, and I've never meant this more than I do right now, Damn You Hollywood. And the high priest of this religious cult,
Not
Robert
a high priest.
Winfrey. Deacon?
Elder.
The elder of
High
these
priest.
festivities.
Well, I only bring that up because high priest is an actual office that I
Okay,
could theoretically get to.
great.
Was a deacon.
The cardinal of these affairs, Robert Winfrey.
Okay, that's a purely Catholic convention, but all right.
I'm just gonna keep naming fucking religious
Offices.
We could have been through this already, but you had to be pedantic.
I appreciate you, Imam Radulich.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salami, I like him, right?
Do your job.
It's an Oz reference, not a dig at Islam for anyone who doesn't get that. I know there's a bunch of people that went over their heads. So yeah, and you know that Mark had a bad time because he didn't drop a single Keskase in the entire intro to this.
I just want to get through this. This is like dental work.
And it should be noted, we were supposed to have another member on this particular episode. Jason Teasley was going to be here. Unfortunately, circumstances conspired against him.
This movie is so bad. There's a joke from Spaceballs. Instant cassettes.
Only one?
Instant cassettes. They're out. They're out in stores before the movie is over. And this is where you get the, what the hell am I looking at? You're looking at now, sir. Whatever happens in the movie happens now. Well, what happened then? We just missed it. Just went just now. When will then be now? Soon. We have them on the moon of Vega. Oh! All right. I fucking love that bit. If you haven't seen Spaceballs, so none of what everything I just said sounds like I was having a stroke, but it's dialogue. Anyway, yes. This movie is already in certain areas of the country, like West Virginia, where there are no more people. Out of
They're all buried under snow, is all.
He was telling me that he couldn't get to the movies, that whatever showings they had for it, they'd already given those theaters away to other movies that might have drawn an audience.
Sold a ticket once in a while.
Now, we talk about movies doing bad on this show quite often, but I have said, just giving anecdotal evidence, that not every bad movie or unattended movie was unattended at the showing that I went to with my kids. So two things. One, did not bring the children.
Good call.
I took one look at that parenting guide and went, I have to make a stand. I have to do the right thing. It's one thing to show your 11-year-old son, Harvey Keitel, jerking off to co-eds and weeping. It's a whole other thing to bring him to Psycho Killer.
Or let your sensitive 13-year-old watch Terrifier.
Was it my call?
I'm aware of that. No. This is a general thing. That's not a shot at you. And I know that you traumatized your son that way, but you know, he's like me in that he's almost a robot. So you know, trauma.
So I left them home. I went and saw this monstrosity by myself. And my theater was dead ass empty. I was literally the only one in mine. I mean, I have fooled around in many a movie theater and had to be somewhat aware of the few people that may have been in the theater at the time that I was fooling around with a girl in the theater. I could have full on shot a porno and I wouldn't have disturbed a single person. Not even the crew, not even the good cleaning crew at the AMC. They weren't even in this theater.
Well, why would they have to come clean when there's no one in there?
Yeah. So anyway,
I could have done a breakdance routine. Like,
I
was the only person in that theater.
Would have been more entertaining this movie. So let's take it from the top.
But it would have been more expensive because then I'd be in the hospital.
Wonderful.
But the point about saying that Jason isn't here is partially because we did this, at least in no small part, because Jason kind of advocated for it. Like, I was down to do it. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine with it. I could have said no. I know this isn't Mark's thing. None of this is like up Mark's alley. But I figured if Jason really wanted to be on the show and really wanted to talk about this, like, I would have waited to see this until it was streaming, in all probability.
Which it would have been by the time you left the theater.
It probably is now.
Yeah. On Disney Plus.
Well, because of courtesy of Hulu, but yes.
So anyway, we're
But
talking Psycho
we don't
Killer.
have the one guy here who we were going to like throw under the bus about this if he was here for making us do this, but he's not here, so I'm not going to beat him up in absentia. That would just be mean.
Psycho
So, Mark,
Killer is
yeah,
oh my god.
Tell us about Psycho Killer, Mark.
I would love to. Psycho Killer is a 2026 horror thriller film directed by Gavin Polone, you monster.
Directed.
Pointed a camera at. This person is a producer. He is responsible for producing the following movies that were better than this one: 8mm, Drop Dead Gorgeous, Panic Room, Seeing Other People, My Super Ex-Girlfriend, Zombieland, Wham Bam Zombieland, Nerdland, ugh, no wonder, Zombieland Double Tap, and this is his first time directing.
So basically, I have facilitated talented people doing talented things long enough that I think some of it has rubbed off on me via the osmosis process.
Yeah.
No, it did not.
It did not go. It did not go as well.
Run this guy out of the DGA immediately.
In his feature directorial debut and written by Andrew Kevin Walker. So somebody made a point of saying that this is like one of Hollywood's great treasures in writing. So what has he written? He's written Seven. He's written 8mm, Sleepy Hollow, The Wolfman, woo, 2010, Nerdland, once again, Windfall, The Killer, which was directed by David Fincher, and then somehow or other was responsible for this mess. Look, he's also the script doctor for Event Horizon, The Game, Fight Club, and Stir of Echoes.
So let's take this at its whole. He's got one trick that worked once, sort of twice, by association with much more talented people who knew how to doctor what he was doing and help rein it in.
Yeah.
Because there's no way the same guy who, if he produced Seven on his own, to have gone to this, like I'm putting him in a home. Like his brain's turning to pudding.
I was asked by my loved ones who were concerned for me, what did I think of Psycho Killer? Psycho Killer, can you say ba 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 ba?
There it is.
And I said, format is important.
Keep going. I got to get up and do something, but I can hear you and I can talk to you, so we're good. Keep going.
When creating art, some pieces of art work as movies. Some better work as novels and then should be left alone. Whatever this was, whatever it intended to be, might have worked better as a graphic novel or just a novel for the adults.
There's a line about this that a short story is about murder, a novel is about murderers, and this thing is at best a badly constructed short story that got turned into 90 minutes of agony.
I'm going to say something to you, and you're going to have to use your powers of impulse control to not go in a direction I don't intend us to go in. But I was talking to my daughter about Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
Which, hear me out, this movie reminded me of.
I can see where some of that would have pinged for you.
What we have here is a law enforcement person on a lone hunt for a serial killer, and there's a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, let me take that back. There's a degree of psychology afoot.
Allegedly.
Trying to understand the serial killer's motivation so that we can extrapolate information and figure out what he's going to do next so that we can catch him. And it was like somebody wanted to do a Silence of the Lambs, but isn't talented. And this was their best shot.
This is a really, really bad episode of Criminal Minds.
Yeah. So, Robert,
Mark,
I'm here
you
because
are.
I am a slave to the schedule. I'm here.
You and I are both here at gunpoint, but the guy holding the gun is not here, so that makes this really awkward.
Well, I'm here at gunpoint, except I'm the one holding the gun. So I'm like, I'm here under duress. I'm like,
anybody move and
the guy gets it. What are we doing? Anyway, I'm here because
I went to Blazing Saddles because you brought up Mel Brooks. So.
I'm here because it's on the schedule. We said we were doing this. I like talking to you. We will make chicken salad out of chicken shit. But first, we must know what happens in this pile of chicken shit.
Yeah, boy, is this bad. I'll try to be quick here, guys. So this
may or may not make my bottom 5 of the year because
it's on my list right now.
It's on my list because there's nothing else.
Yes.
But let me say this, and then you can do the plot synopsis. If you'll remember, a few weeks ago, Snow White was poorly done, but it at least entertained me. Five Nights at Freddy's was poorly done, and I hated it. This is poorly done, but I don't hate it, and it didn't entertain me, which is why it might not last on my list of worst of the year.
I would argue that that's the worst possible thing for it to have done. Is nothing.
Yeah. Well, you often use the phrase nothing burger, and it annoys me because you attribute things that are nothing to things that are something. That's just not something that you think have any weight. And it annoys me.
Absence of weight is absence of physicality, is absence of existence.
Okay. It's also subjective in many cases.
Sorry, the two literally. Go ahead.
This is the first time in the history of us doing this where if you said it was a nothing burger, I would 110% agree with you. This is the most. I said this to you all in our chat. This is the most nothing of nothing burgers I've ever seen.
For something especially for something that's like sold as being provocative and transgressive, and
I mean, outside of like standard Gonzo type porn, like actual porn movies or like the old drive-in features that got turned into something weird video DVDs, like The Pig Keeper's Daughter and such. That stuff has more weight than this movie. This is a ghost of a movie.
Yeah, it would have fit right. It's got the same weight as a 1990s supermodel.
Haha. All right, now go.
So we open with a long montage of. I don't know who that's directed at. If it's me, I know. I know.
I mean, I don't know what we're doing here. These comments.
There's a comment on here that says "shave it." If it's about my head, I know time is like come and gone, and I'm gonna get there eventually.
I don't know, but he could. I would much rather talk about this. He could be talking about genital hair, and then is he talking about our genital hair? Is he talking about my girlfriend's genital hair? Is he talking about? Is he just like people across the world who have genital hair? You should all shave it. I mean, I don't know. I feel
like grooming at a minimum is a requirement.
Some people like, they like a Brillo pad. Some people like it going into the Marines. It's such a subjective thing.
Well, again, like I just feel that at a certain level there's a certain level of like, again, maintenance that should go on there. If it's like the jungles of Borneo.
I mean, a shampooing and a run through, is at least called for. So, speaking of a shampoo and a run through, Psycho Killer.
Featuring no shampoo to be found in this greasy-haired monstrosity.
Just run through.
Again, we open on a Kansas City highway after being told that there's a satanic slasher running across the interstates, killing people and doing terrible things to the bodies, like chopping them up, and cannibalism, and leaving scrawled in blood satanic symbols and messages because we just have to be edgy. And as the killer barrels down the highway, a Kansas City trooper, a Kansas State trooper gets behind him, and he pulls over. The trooper did not pull him over, mind you. He just pulls over. The trooper pulls over behind him and goes, "Sir, what's going on? You okay?" Because I didn't do that. And as he looks in this car and sees all the drug paraphernalia scattered around the back seat, and an unwashed, unkempt, disheveled, gravelly voiced death metal singer, I feel like they would have cast Corpse Grinder if they could have got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
But he's too nice a guy to appear in this piece of. He's like, is anything going on here? And the guy, "No, officer, why would you think something's going on here? What about any of this could possibly be suspicious?" Another trooper drives up. This is the first one's wife. And they share a moment, so we know they're married. And then the first one gets shot in the neck. And the killer speeds off, and the poor wife has to deal with the fact that her husband's dead, and the killer goes on to kill a few more people. And the wife, as you do, swears, "Revenge!" And her dad's like, "This is a bad idea for you, sweetie, because revenge never goes well. But if you have to learn that for yourself, then fine, go ahead." And this is like the closest thing to a point the movie has. I mean, that's sad, but it really is. So she starts tracking his movements as he kills people in Colorado, in Missouri, in Illinois, and she talks to the FBI and is like, "I think I can help." And the FBI agent in charge goes, "But you're a woman from Kansas."
Silly lady. You go back to the kitchen now.
So in female solidarity, one of the junior agents breaks all kinds of rules and regulations to give her all the information. And along the way, the killer starts leaving ads because he wants some help. And he gets in touch, sort of incidentally, with a Satanist group led by Malcolm McDowell. Just God bless Malcolm McDowell. He's only here for the paycheck, but he's a professional enough to at least still bring something like an acting performance.
Mm-hmm.
Which may as well have been freaking Olivier's Hamlet given the rest of this movie.
Between Malcolm McDowell's Satanist leader and Ray Fiennes' Number of the Beast cosplay performance, this has been some year for me so far.
And so our protagonist discovers that this killer is drawing some inspiration from death metal because let's dust off that old chestnut. I feel like that was the only part of it.
It's only been 50 years.
I feel like that's also the only part of this movie you enjoyed was looking at the album covers and knowing that you could read the terrible lettering that goes into death metal covers.
Let me tell you, when they played in ADR in League with Satan by Venom, I was having a hoot. I was having a hoot of a good time. I was hoping they'd play the cover by Unleashed. It's a badass
that would have been
cover.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the killer goes to the Satanist group and goes, "You're all a bunch of posers, you understand." Then he kills them all with an axe.
Yeah. I want to say at this time, part of the reason why I didn't bring my kids to this was because I read in the parents' guide that there was some very sexually explicit stuff here. And given what I'd seen in the trailer, I was like, oh, there's probably going to be like a lot of like over the top, like BDSM, eyes wide shut here shit going on. And I don't want to bring my kids to that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave them at home. Let me tell you how I'm not sad I left them out of this because I shouldn't have seen it to begin with, but they've seen worse than anything in this movie.
Yeah, you mentioned, you showed your son Bad Lieutenant.
I showed him one scene from Bad Lieutenant.
You haven't even showed him the whole movie?
No, just the show me your tits.
You gave him out of context Harvey Keitel. Nude Harvey Keitel.
He's not nude. He just pulls it out and jerks off while the two girls.
No, you didn't show them the nude scene where he just breaks down crying?
No, I just showed him the show me your tits scene. Because it's the best scene in the movie.
Again, like the scene earlier when he's just like naked with a couple of hookers and just listening to music and standing and sobbing.
He'll be 16 eventually, and his daughter and his sister will have moved out of the house by then. I feel like that's a rockin' good 16th birthday. Come, son, for your 16th birthday, I will show you the Bad Lieutenant.
And for your 17th, we watched the sequel with Nicolas Cage.
Anywho,
it
was a weak fucking Satan scene. I'm just saying.
Fair enough. So again, he kills all these people with an axe. He burns the place down. He nearly gets shot by our protagonist who's followed him here.
You missed
she
the
at this
part where
point
she tracks
goes
into a hotel and he nearly kills her.
There was
And
one of those, yeah.
That was the best scene in the movie, where he's beating her around the hotel room.
And then he doesn't kill her because plot armor, not for any like actual in-universe reason.
Yeah, he like throws her through the hotel window, and then it was like,
and then he just gathers his stuff up and goes out the back window.
Yeah. He's just like, well, now I have plenty of time to get away. Like, why he tried to kill her the entirety of the time he was there. Then he threw her through the window, and then he was like, well, now I don't have time. And like runs away.
Look, there's an old pro wrestling trope. If you get behind the invisible barrier up the entrance ramp, and the guys in the ring then can't follow you anymore, they just stay in the ring because you got behind the barrier.
Yeah.
There's some invisible line there that he just, I don't know. There's no reason for it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. There's the scene at the Satanist house, and at this point, she's like, "You don't understand." She's like, "I have figured out a lot of this stuff because I am the female protagonist and I know everything."
I'm the protagonist.
That made more sense in that movie. Like, look, this guy thinks he's this famous mass murderer who killed a bunch of people at this church in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and he's going back there to complete it, and he's been gathering explosives, so he's going to have a big thing. And everyone goes, okay, and then everyone listens to her. So they all go to that location, and then while they're there waiting, she's like, oh no, I got it wrong. Let me tell no one, just drive over there. What he's actually doing is abducting a guy who works at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant. And his plan is to send that into meltdown and then use a handful of sticks of TNT that he has strapped to himself to then blow up with a hand grenade to open a portal to hell. Okay, my brain blue screened for a second. They're having to actually say that out loud.
There were several ways they could have saved the movie at this point.
Hang on. Naturally, they stop him in time.
They could have actually let him do it and sent in the Ghostbusters to get the demons that were currently escaping from hell. Or
no one wanted to pull Bill Murray into this.
Or John Constantine or somebody, Lucifer. They could have. There was a way to save it. They chose none of them.
So they're able to stop him. He gets shot a few times. And then we find out earlier she's pregnant. This plays no role in anything. Except near the end. She is now like messed up because of what happened. And the killer is revealed to not be someone emulating that original guy, Mr. Jeeves. He was Reeves. Yeah. It's actually him, but they said he died earlier, and it turns out that Mark, all the idiots who call in to late night talk radio are right. The government is, in fact, faking the deaths of prisoners, keeping them in secure facilities, in this case in the middle of Death Valley, for nefarious purposes. And this is the scene we end with, is the still alive killer being driven back into the facility he has presumably escaped from to start the movie, and I wanted to just urinate everywhere as a form of protest.
So, yeah.
But I don't need to end up on another list.
So, most of the movie is this law enforcement official, state trooper, doing her own detective work and trying to track him down. That's kind of the Silence of the Lambs part.
Sort of, yeah.
They kind of hint at a deviation between what Satanism has become versus what Satanism is supposed to be, and he is like orthodox Satanist, and
he's a true believer, and Malcolm McDowell's a guy who uses the trappings of this to get to ingest mind-altering substances and fornicate.
Yeah, and I don't need to repeat it. That what Robert just said. And so the movie kind of has this message about like false idols, false believers should be, killed violently, and, only the true believers should walk among us. Okay, interesting take for your Satan psycho killer movie.
Well, it's at least the take that the character has. I don't know that the movie's advocating for it, but
I'm willing to believe the worst. And then
look, I'm giving this movie way more grace than I should, based on all available evidence. Let me be clear.
Yeah, I don't know how we end up in these places that we do, but and then there's a final confrontation, and it's it's a stupid, twisty ending.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Here's the thing. Everyone's just like, all right, here it is, the famous Mark and Robert hate fuck. Here's the problem, guys. I can't do that. I'm not. Contrary to popular opinion, when I get passionate about something, it's because I genuinely believe it. And that passion is real. And it is coming from a real emotional core that I have. This movie isn't that good. And I don't mean like competence. I mean like I was angry at how bad Five Nights at Freddy was. I was elated at how incompetent Snow White was. I was bored by this movie. It's not. Here's the thing. It's called Psycho Killer. It kind of has like an indie exploitation vibe to it.
That's how it's sold.
If nude nuns with big guns is a 1, and I don't know what would be like the worst, like, maybe Terrifier, maybe, I guess, in modern parlance. Whatever, like, the worst, violent, most over-the-top, exploitation movie is.
Terrifier would definitely probably be near the top of the let's just show shocking, disgusting stuff.
Right. So, if...
It's not the only thing going on in the Terrifier movies, but it's what they're known for.
So, let's say nude nuns with big guns is a 5 on that scale, and Terrifier is a 10. This is below nude nuns with big guns. This is like a 1 on that scale. It is barely exploitative, so it fails there. Georgina Campbell is fine, but she does not have the gravitas nor the charisma to carry this movie. She's no what's her fucking face from Silence of the Lambs. What's the actress's name again?
Jodie Foster.
That's the one. Hey, listen.
Her Oscar-winning role.
Oh, I forgot her name. Fucking sue me.
Look, man, if you forget Holly Hunter's name or Jennifer Jason Leigh as these like character actresses, no one will care. But like forgetting Jodie Foster's kind of one of those things that you shouldn't do. I didn't study
for the test, teacher. She's
clearly.
She's not Jodie Foster. She doesn't have like that gravitas. She doesn't have that magnetism. Doesn't have that level of acting ability. So you don't have and then the character of Clarice is written really, really well. Her character is, you shot my husband and I'm sad now. That's it. That's all we've got going on here. That's all she's about. The best thing she does in the movie is take a beating from him in what is literally the only decent scene in this movie.
Yeah.
When we get to, you don't have a good lead. You don't have a good plot. You don't have good motivation. None of this is good.
You don't have worse than that. You don't have memorable kills. You don't have hang
on. I was getting there. So the next thing is if none of the stuff involving everything I've said so far is above nude nuns with big guns, as in it's not memorable and it's not particularly exploitative. It's not visceral in any way, which you have to be if you're going to do this kind of a movie. Like, this has to be gross and unsettling.
Yeah.
It's none of those things. It's bland. It is tepid water. So then you get to like the Satanism scene. And here is where I'm like, I don't want to bring my kids to this. This is going to be the bad stuff, right? This is going to be the things I don't want them to see. The worst it gets. They drop acid and get naked and fuck. And let me tell you, it's one girl blowing a guy. It's another guy banging a girl. And the funniest part of that is when he walks in there and kills him with an axe, the girl shows up the upside down cross like, eh? And he's like, yeah, no.
Well, she shows it right side up.
And like just kills her, and that's the end of it. And then even Malcolm McDowell, who like beg for his life, throw himself on the ground, offer to blow the guy.
To even notice.
He's out cold from the acid. So he just kills him dead. and then he burns the place down. And you are giving the movie in a way way too much credit, and in another way not enough credit. I am assuming that the point of all of that was a true believer versus heretics of the faith.
Again, posers.
Posers. And that's the thing is, just as an aside, I've been around enough Satanists in my life because I've been part of the metal scene, been part of the goth industrial scene. I have people, I've been
worked in a prison.
Jail. I've worked in a jail.
Right.
2 of them. I have been around people who own satanic Bibles. I've been around people who claim to be Wiccans. All of that shit. So I get the idea of being like a poser Satanist, because there's certainly a lot of those around, and somebody who takes that shit really seriously being way offended by it. Here's the thing. He just went there to get information, and for all that's shown or that we know about him, he was planning to kill them all along, because that's just what he does. So, did it matter? Did we need to spend time with these people? Who cares? Like, you don't know enough about him or that situation to have derived anything else more than what I'm inferring from the situation. Either way, it's not strong. So now take all the theme out of it, take all the meaning out of it. What do you got left? You got visuals. Well, there's nothing visually good happening here.
No,
like I've seen good satanic sex before on screen and in real life, and like
the second part of that was just implied, Mark, and was better that way.
Like here is where
there's all kinds of swinging down at that swinger house.
Here is where, if you're gonna do sex and Satan, then you need to show me some real sex and Satan here. You need to you need to have been threatening a NC-17 on this, and they're not. It's barely an R. Barely. Like, I've seen far worse. There's worse in Showgirls.
Well, if you're just talking about the sex stuff, then yes. If we're limiting the scope to that one, then yeah.
Well, if you're even like the murdering, like there was worse in 28 Years Later, the Bone Temple. Like, I had to revert my eyes a couple of times because of that. Also, my friend Beth is saying hello, so let me acknowledge her. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
So anyway, you're not showing enough graphic stuff in this movie to warrant the aesthetic you advertised.
Yeah, the advertising on this is way off. First, as another point.
And then we get to our conclusion, and our conclusion is so outwardly silly that I can't even take the fucking rest of the movie seriously anymore. Like, all of this to get to that was not worth the trip.
Okay, I have to break this up into 2 parts.
Yeah.
Because the opening third of this movie, I'm not going to say it's good, because I don't think it's good. But I don't think it's... I think if you take that in isolation, the first, 20 minutes, give or take, you can see direction. You can see there's something there. Little something there. Not much, but you got to, that's not a bad start. It's not even really a first act, but it's not a bad start. I was kind of with the movie, and then it just kind of keeps dragging. They clearly had no idea what to do in the middle, at all. But the ending of this, so I'm going to set aside the very ending. Let's just focus on, the climax, the stuff at 3 Mile Island. It is so out of left field. There's no hint of it at all being a thing that's going to be relevant. And then, here it is. Well, why? Yeah, but no one knows. Okay, so what's his plan? He's got, a dozen sticks of dynamite, a couple of hand grenades. His actual infiltration plan is at least moderately clever. But once he's in there, it's like, okay, I want you to put this thing into meltdown. And then what? Well, then I'm going to blow myself up. And this will burn a hole down through the earth. And everyone treats it like... This is one of those things that I know too much about to give a pass on. So allow me to just very briefly. A nuclear power plant is not in danger of turning into a nuclear bomb, people. It is not going to give you a big mushroom cloud. There's a very, very specific set of things that have to occur to create either an atomic blast or a nuclear blast. Yes, they're different things. One's fission, one's fusion. Don't worry about it. Watch Oppenheimer. They talk about the difference. Either way, that is a very specific, very involved process for creating that. Gas mask moron with dynamite in a control room is not going to do it. Oh, but again, like somehow nuclear meltdown at a plant became code for a 12 megaton blast. And it's not. It's just not. Hey, 3 Mile Island, they have to couch it this way as like the worst nuclear disaster in American history. Do you know how many people died as a result of 3 Mile Island? Do you, Mark? I assume you do.
I'm going to take this as rhetorical and let you move on.
Okay. 0. You know how many people died as a result of the tsunami hitting the Fukushima nuclear plant in Japan?
0.
0.
How many people died at Chernobyl?
Not as many as the miniseries leads you to believe.
Okay.
Like that one event, Chernobyl, is the thing everyone looks at, and even the miniseries goes through the specific problems. Like, no, the nuclear material didn't detonate. It can't. What it does is give off radiation. That's all it does. So what the problem at Chernobyl was a steam explosion, which is a big problem, that led to the material getting not cooled, so it heats, liquefies, and then melts through stuff. And then the explosion that results from that sends radioactive material into the air. This is not a nuclear bomb. This is just a dirty bomb. There's a big difference. They both suck, but they're not at all the same. The whole bit where the people running this plant are like, you'll have 2 hours to evacuate all of central Pennsylvania if this guy blows himself up. No. So much no. And then, oh, God, this movie had already lost me by this point, but they're all watching what's going on in this control room via the security monitors, right? And one of the security guards grabs our protagonist and goes, there might be a way in. So they go off, like, okay, we're going to find a way in, all right? Is it a ventilation shaft? Is it like something's got to be hard here, right? Like, and they open a door that he just says, it's been closed forever. They go into an observatory room, and on the wall is a giant, like 5 by 5 foot sheet of plexiglass looking into the control room. This is the dumbest possible thing. Everyone's here panicking, which, okay, fair enough. This is not a good situation. And they say, like, is there any other way in here than this main door? And everyone goes, no. And this one guy goes, well, there's this big sheet of glass overlooking the control room that we have access to. Nobody else? And again, we're not talking like some small, boy, how do we get in here? You open a door and you go into like a hospital surgical observatory room. Like this is so dumb. It is impossibly stupid that we arrived here. Just impossibly stupid. And then the cherry on top of this, at the very end, is the most incomprehensible, incompetently written bit of thing I've ever seen this side of asking 7-year-olds to do popcorn story time. So does he go back? They actually admit, like, this is the same guy from the previous one that we said was dead. Like, this is a line actually in the movie is this previous mass murderer was killed in prison. Now at the very end, they're like, well, he didn't. And he escaped and he went on this big rampage literally across the country, Death Valley to Harrisburg. That's a heck of a road trip. And he killed double-digit people and attacked a nuclear plant. It's the same guy from before, but you said he was dead. Never mind. Well, how about now? Oh, no, now he's dead. He was shot a few times, including once in the head, which we know didn't happen because we saw what happened. And we're taking him back to a secret facility in Death Valley, which is actually like a national park. And this is our like allusion to this, the foreshadowing to this is supposed to be lines on the radio from, again, late night talk radio when cranks call in about the black helicopters and the aliens. Is someone going, yeah, you know, the government's taking prisoners and doing experiments on them. And they're right. The crank callers into the... It leaves you with the wrong kind of questions. Like, Mark, if you wanted to sell me a story about the government experimenting on prisoners, I'm okay. Okay. I don't have to suspend my disbelief at all for that, believe it or not. Plenty of historical precedent, and you're under NDA. That's why you're not saying anything, and it's okay. I'm not going to ask you any more questions. But
I'm trying to think of what I just watched with my kids that revolved around experimenting on people, and we were like, oh, you know, and my son said, "How likely is that to happen?" And I'm just like, it has happened. Oh, we were watching They Clone Tyrone. That's what it was. So,
okay.
So Jonas and I are watching They Clone Tyrone for last week's Black History Month thing, and that the whole premise of the movie is this town is being experimented on an ongoing basis by this, you know, giant institution, government institution, and it's not just happening there; it's happening all over the United States, possibly the world. And he goes, "Really? You know, like, how believable is that?" And I'm just like, "Very believable. Have you heard of the Tuskegee experiments?"
There's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot.
Right. So,
so hang on. So my point there, like, if that's part of the pitch here, I'm very willing to go along with this. But there's two things that you have to do if you're doing the government is faking the deaths of prisoners for the purposes of experimentation. Like, okay, I'm actually willing to go with you here. Like, that's your basic premise. Okay. We're not out. We have not crossed the Rubicon at all. We're still very much within the realm of reality and believability.
Yeah.
What are they doing to them? Why are they doing it to them?
Yeah. There's a much more
what do they hope to accomplish?
There's a much more interesting movie here, but it's not the movie they felt like to feel. It's not the movie they felt like telling, oddly enough.
Yeah, like, for some, like, the actual story of this guy, what he went through in this facility breaking out, is more interesting than what we got.
So have you seen it? Did you see the TikTok of the guy that's, we are living in the era of everything is 12-year-old boy? And they were like discussing, you know, Trump's domestic policy, foreign policy, what's going on with different aspects of the way the world is running. And the guy keeps saying, the guy keeps going back to the same thing. This is 12-year-old boy thinking. This is a murder exploitation movie as done by 12-year-old boy. A 12-year-old boy is not going to interrogate the kinds of things that we want this movie to interrogate and that it shied away from cowardly. A 12-year-old boy, this is about the level of violence and sex they can conjure up, unless they're my kid. But besides that, at 12 years old, because they haven't seen anything or done anything.
Yeah, so the worst thing you can do is dismember somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? This movie got one out of me. Now, I've seen a lot. Okay. I'll give you 2 minutes of not 2 minutes, 2 examples of my bona fides. I've seen a Serbian film. I've seen the 500 Days of Sodom. Not actually 500, but I forget the exact number. But anyone who's seen that movie knows what I'm referencing. I've seen stuff. So when I say this movie is like nothing like that, there's one thing, exactly one that kind of made me go, oh, you actually grew a pair of balls. It's when he stabs the priest with the metal straw.
Oh, okay. That's the one thing that grossed me out, and I had to
like that.
my head. Like I
we
gagged.
Got one in a 90-minute movie. One scene that kind of gave the visceral reaction that you're supposed to get out of this. Yeah, thank you, Rogue Bomb. Yeah, again, like the basic concept is, it's the same thing they're doing on this terrible network television show called Hunting Party, which is based around the same premise. Like the government's been faking the deaths and executions of serial killers for the purposes of experimentation. But what are they experimenting on? Why are they doing it? What's the end goal? Of course, they're never going to answer these questions because it's network television. And mystery box writing is a scourge upon the world, and it's another reason I want J.J. Abrams strung up by his thumbs. But yeah, this is such a bad movie. And it is, you're right, like 12-year-old boy logic filtered through an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Because who's the protagonist?
There's no creativity and there's no bravery. So
none.
Here's the thing. To be clear, and so that I say this loud and loud for the AI to pick up later when I have to do a TikTok on this, a movie like this should be grotesque. It should be overtly sexual. It should make you uncomfortable. And it should say something about the human condition, even if it's dumb. Whether or not, like, this isn't about what I want. It is what this movie is supposed to be. In other words, if you're going to make a science fiction movie, there should be science in your science fiction movie. When we complained about Mickey 17, this is one of the things we said about it, was there was an opportunity here to deal with the science of cloning. It doesn't really want to do that. It wants to ask philosophical questions, and it wants to do political commentary.
All it wanted to do was make fun of Trump. Let's be real about Mickey 17.
I just said that. It wanted to do political commentary, and it wanted to say stuff about the human condition and relationships. It didn't really want to talk about cloning, which is what the book it was based on wanted to talk about. But that's my point. When you're making genre, you actually have to put in the things that make genre what it is. Exploitation movies are genre.
Yeah.
I've watched a ton. Like my 20s.
What's your third favorite subgenre of film?
That's the thing. You talked about your bona fides. I spent my 20s, my film snob years, like watching a lot of independent movies, very artistic independent movies, but I also watched a lot of slop.
Oh, man. Yeah, like you did the Grindhouse stuff.
Yeah, I watched all those Something Weird videos. I had a ton on DVD. I watched, like, again, the stag reels that got converted to DVDs. I watched a lot of the exploitation movies. The whole, like Nude Nuns with Big Guns it was a funny title to me, so I wanted to check it out, but it was right at the heart of exploitation movies. I've watched a ton, and Jason and I even did a whole podcast on this, a ton of blaxploitation. I've watched nunsploitation. I've watched movies from Italy that are like, that range from exploitation to nunsploitation to spaghetti westerns. I've watched a lot of terrible movies.
There's a special kind of like weird bad that goes on in like 60s Italian low budget horror movies.
Yeah, like the 70s.
Some of it's good. Like, look, I have a very soft spot in my heart for Dario Argento and a lot of like kind of the giallo stuff, but there's a lot of stuff that he's good at that genre. There's a lot of bad in that genre too.
So if you go back and find like a lot of those Something Weird videos and like Italian Grindhouse and stuff like that, you're gonna see some grotesque, overtly sexual, disturbing imagery.
Most of those movies have a very graphic sex scene in them, just as a matter of course.
This is such a pussy movie. Like, it's not something I needed to bring my kids to. There's like a big chasm in there of, daring, still something I shouldn't bring my kids to, and pussy. But it's still, that's what it is. It's like, this movie took no chances. And then it does like the dumbest thing of all, which, like, again, it rests entirely on a tired modern trope of, the busy business girl boss, who's pretty and perfect and can do no wrong. And all these people and all these men stopping her from doing what she needs to do, they're all so wrong and she's so right. And it's like, so not only do you take no chances, but you do the tropiest thing that you can think of that already isn't like working and has been summarily dismissed as a giant waste of the last 5 to 8 years. This movie sucks. It's so bad.
Look, I genuinely...
Hang on. Before you say anything, to the people who still might not understand me, I would have praised this movie despite the fact that it's not my thing if it had been brave enough to do the things that the genre expects of it. The fact that my criticism is not that I don't like it or that this isn't really my kind of thing or there wasn't enough sex in it. It's that it's cowardly.
I genuinely wish they'd killed the wife in the first scene instead of the husband.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, that would have subverted my expectations in a somewhat interesting way. Like, again, minimum, let's do something a little bit different. But the other big, this movie is so incompetent.
They should have had like they should have like been in the past, and it kills both parents, and the guy kills both parents, and there's like an orphan child left behind who slowly discovers the mystery of this whole thing and is looking for him at the same time he's trying to, that he's active again. That would have been more interesting.
I'm not kidding when I say the following.
Mm-hmm.
I could write a better story than this. And I don't say that about most movies. That isn't because I don't think I'm all that great. I'm not trying to big myself up. I'm not a published author, nothing like that. I could do better than this.
ChatGPT,
and when I can do better than this,
I was going to say ChatGPT. Most of the large language models could have written something more daring than this, because it wouldn't have had morals.
Yeah, it would have had to like censor half of it, but
yeah, but that's my point. Like, I would have rather it gone too far and have to say, Jesus Christ, tone this down a bit. Then this is nothing. This isn't even a good version of the genre you're trying to do.
This is a waste of everything involved in it. Every single thing about this.
How many more fucking ways are we going to say that this is bad? So let's
hang on. I think I had one more thing.
No!
I think I had a salient point. Hang on. Let me backtrack to where I was.
Robert Winfrey gets the gas face. Blah, blah, blah.
If it comes back to me, I'll circle back to it. But yeah, again, like when I could write something better, when I think like you and I could co-direct something better than this, like we could genuinely, okay, if you produce, I write, and we get why am I blanking on his name?
I want the band vinyl guy who makes up songs like "Ramming Up My Shitter" and "One in My Mouth" and "Two in My Ass" to write the satanic sex scene. I think he'd do a good job.
He can get a small co-writing, small story credit.
I just want him to write that scene. That's all.
Yeah, he can script doctor what I put in for that scene. Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to take this wooden tip and sex scene and do your band vinyl thing with it.
But yeah, I mean, I genuinely feel like you and I at this point know enough people who've been around film that we could do better than this.
Okay, can I please move on now?
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Later on when I have ChatGPT read this transcript, it's like, this was a really great conversation between you and Robert, except you repeated yourself at least 20 times.
Yeah, it might.
All right. On a budget of less than $10 million, this thing has made $2 million so far.
Yeah.
Uh, okay.
It's made no money.
There's
You don't have to
no.
read the wiki.
I'm trying
You
to
don't,
look in like the normal sections of the Wikipedia, and like there's no money.
no, there's nothing there. So it's okay. We don't need to go
Let's
through
move
that.
on. Yeah. The number one movie of the weekend was Goat. I had dinner with my parents as my obligation to stay in the will, and shit, I said the quiet part out loud again. And they had in my father. I always ask my father like, what movies have they seen recently, so I know what to not to ask him about.
Yeah.
And he had seen Goat, and I was like, seriously, you're like 80. Why did you go see Goat? He was like, it's in the movies. That's why. He was like, I think it was really good. There's something else that he saw Wuthering Heights, and he was like, I've never read the book, so I don't have a basis of comparison, but I thought it was fine. I'm like, good.
Okay, he is just saying that to try and get you to engage because Wuthering Heights is a terrible movie.
I'm starting to think at this point he really doesn't have any discernible opinions. It's just whether or not something aggravates him or not.
That's
So if it
probably
doesn't aggravate
accurate.
him, it's good. If it aggravates him, it's bad.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Which I believe is the disease that all boomers have at this point. Wuthering Heights traded places with Goat. It dropped from 1 to 2, and Goat went from 2 to 1. I can only imagine 2.
That's a really strong hold for Goat, actually. Less than 40% drop.
Yeah. I can only imagine 2 from Lionsgate debuted at 3. Crime 101, which we reviewed last week, dropped from 3 to 4. Send Help, which we reviewed the week prior, dropped from 4 to 5. How to Make a Killing from A24 debuted at 6. An Elvis Presley concert movie debuted at 7. Solo Mio fell from 5 to 8. Zootopia still in theaters after 13 weeks, 6 to 9. Avatar still in theaters after 10 weeks, from 8 to 10. And Psycho Killer debuted at 11.
Debuted
at 11. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die dropped from 7 to 12. Everyone who's seen that so far said it was good. So we'll catch up with it later in the year.
I think in an ideal world, like if we know Jason's going to have problems with this, you and I review that one this week.
I guess.
I'm not mad at all that we did Crime 101 last week. That was a good discussion, and it had a lot of stuff that I think
we would have had a free week this week. So
this week would have been open, and we would have discussed that one this week.
Yeah. We'll get to it later in the year. Midwinter Break debuted at 19. Blades of the Guardians, otherwise known as the men's Olympic hockey team for the USA. That debuted at
I feel so bad for our Canadian friends. They've not taken that loss well.
I had to call Andrew last night and talk him off the ledge. This Is Not a Test debuted at 28. Billy Preston, That's the Way God Planned It, debuted at 45. And that was
Let's go on your father's tombstone.
Yeah. That was the weekend that was. Wuthering Heights. It's the number one movie in the world with 152 million. Goat is at 102 million. Send Help is 3 with 82. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, 57. Mercy Me, 53. Crime 101, 45. Iron Lung.
Yeah, the Mercy TikTok seemed to have done okay.
Yeah, people seem to enjoy that one. My polyester one got the one I did on John Waters. That's over 2,000. People love when I talk queer shit.
Can't imagine why the TikTok algorithm would pick up on that.
Really quick. So those book reads. So I've been a TikTok affiliate now for like over a year, and so the shirt. Some of the shirts that you see me wearing in these are shirts that I bought off the TikTok shop, and then I wear them so that I can sell them through my videos. Or you could just do like reviews of stuff and do it that way. In this particular case with the books, I went to that particular bookstore online and said, if you send me free books, I'll do book reads. So that's what those were. The very first time I'd ever done it, and instead of like, first, if you don't physically have, and I learned this with comic books, if you don't physically have the book in your hand, you can't sell the product. You have to physically see the product. That's why I'm holding it against like my face, because I've gotten in trouble for this. And I used TikTok's internal camera system, which is why it's mirrored the way it is.
Yeah.
So hope it satisfied your criticism there.
Look, my only thing about that is, again, if you're holding up something that the audience is supposed to read and it's literally like in a mirror backwards, that can be a hurdle.
Yeah, if I can figure out how to unmirror it, I will. But that one, I don't know if you saw the two. I did two. One was To Kill a Mockingbird, and then the other one was Good to Great.
Yeah, I saw them both. I just only commented on the one.
Okay. Well, with Good to Great, I figured out what I was doing wrong with the first one and fixed it and did it better. Yeah, their internal teleprompter.
Okay.
Their internal teleprompter app sucks. Like,
Not
I really had to
surprising.
play with it versus the one that I normally use. Anyway, back to what
Do
I
you
was
have a
doing.
teleprompter?
I have a teleprompter app, yes.
You need a real teleprompter, but okay.
Yeah, you also need a real production team. What am I, fucking 60 Minutes? I'm the
No,
voice of
you
Andy.
don't-
I'm the
don't-
voice of Andy Rooney, not actual Andy Rooney.
Dude, Andy Rooney wouldn't get on 60 Minutes either.
All right. So
These days, at least.
Return to Silent Hills number 8, Greenland 2, Migrations 9, Primate is 10. Not a lot that we either talked about or made us laugh is out to really make fun of just yet. So as we get into March, we'll start to see more known movies, and the things will shift, and we'll actually have stuff to make fun of. Next week is Scream 7, then Hoppers, then The Bride, then Project Runway, then Project Hail Mary, then Ready or Not, Here I Come 2. So that's coming up in March. Obviously, no one's going to see Psycho Killer. I think it's out of theater at this point.
We have done more to acknowledge this movie's existence than almost anything else.
Well, that's the thing. It also didn't get any kind of marketing. You guys all saw the trailer before I did. I saw it once when I took my kids to go see something. I don't remember what.
Well, it only had red band trailers,
mm-hmm.
So it had to be in front of something like that.
Maybe it was when I took them to go see the Bone Temple. No, I saw that by myself.
No, it would have been might have been Crime 101. There was one in front of.
No, because it was a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Send Help.
Oh yeah, there was one in front of Send Help.
Yeah, so I took him to go see Send Help. That's when both of them, Joe just looked at it and was like, I really want to see Psycho Killer. That looks a lot of fun. And my daughter was like, I would prefer to stop doing this. So, that was the only time I'd seen a trailer for it, though.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk a little bit about this picture here? You can only see he's wearing kind of a Bane gas mask.
You can move us to the side, I think, without.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay, so I don't want it to use the term giving like the children do, but it's
evoking.
Got a BDSM thing going on here. There was no BDSM in the movie. To go back to my criticism of things this should have been in the movie that weren't. And I think if you're going to go for that kind of a mask, I was thinking of 8mm again with the with the gimp mask that he's wearing, that kind of thing. If this is the sort of motif you're going for, there should be some allusions at the very least to the BDSM culture. And whether you're interrogating it or something, or just advertising what it is, I don't why that mask? Why not a clown mask? Why not Richard Nixon? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I'm kind of with you. There's so much that if you just look at the poster for this,
mm-hmm.
You expect this heavy metal acid trip, Nicolas Cage and Mandy kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's the worst, one of the worst things a movie, especially a movie that's tiptoeing in the genre like this, can do is be this not bad, but this utterly uninteresting and forgettable.
Yeah, this is a very bland movie.
This is nothing. This is so much nothing.
So the whole point of me bringing that up yet again was how this has been on the schedule in this position for months. Like this shit, I mean, 20th Century Studios fucking distributed this. New Regency got a hold of it, but like they're with the I think like all the production companies on this were New Regency Enterprises, New Regency, Constantine Film, Vertigo Entertainment, distributed by 20th Century Studios.
Yeah.
That's Walt Disney, everybody. Just in
Technically,
case
yes.
anyone's forgotten. And it's like they're just kind of my only comment on this, and the whole reason I brought that up, is they're just kind of dumping stuff in theaters now, and they're not like, it was one thing when there was a political agenda behind it. It was, oh, okay, we're just gonna dump this really conservative, like anti-child trafficking movie into theaters and not pay any attention to it because we don't want anyone to see it, but we kind of have to put it in theaters. We can't just bury it in a streaming service.
Yeah.
And then like this has held this date for months. And they don't do enough trailers. They don't do a push. They just drop it out there. And just as quickly, because nobody saw the goddamn thing, it's out again. Like, and the thing of it was is that the trailer made it somewhat interesting looking. Kind of, you know, the Thunderbolts trailer that kind of made it look like it was an A24 movie?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
That was kind of what they were going for with this trailer.
A little bit, yeah.
Which is why my kid wanted to see it, because he thought it looked interesting. You know, he was saved because it wasn't that interesting. But that's my point. Like, you could have done a better job of fooling people into thinking that this was something worth their time. You don't even do that much. Then why did you bother? I would love to know what the contract looked like that said that this had to get a theatrical release, because why bother?
The fact that your trailer is so deliberately trying to, again, copy and ape Longlegs is not a good thing either, because Longlegs is actually a decent version of this.
Mm-hmm.
Longlegs much more cribs from like Silence of the Lambs in places, but you know, you haven't seen Longlegs, so I'm gonna just tell you, like, the opening bit of that before we get to the title card is actually like one of the most effective, you know, short horror movies you'll ever watch. It's genuinely a little bit like tension filled and unnerving.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's an Oz Perkins movie, so you know he knows what he's doing, and no one here did.
Yeah, I would actually like to see Oz Perkins give this a shot.
He doesn't. Again, he doesn't need to. He's done this movie before, and just much better.
Yeah.
Of course, the other thing about his, like by the end, you know, the Satanism is real because he actually does tackle the notions of good and evil as real things instead of just window dressing.
I don't want to have this conversation with you, but
duly noted.
There is a conversation to be had about what is Satanism, what is the attractiveness of this particular kind of culty religion? Why is it persisted for so long? Why is it deviating in certain places? Like, if you're going to look at this stuff, then really look at it. You know, Satanism has been with us for quite some time now. And I'm just talking the modernized version of it, not like historical.
No, I got you.
Yeah, I'm just talking like Anton, whatever the fuck his name was, like
yeah,
that
who
Satanism.
cares? Yeah, that version, the commercialized version of it.
Yes.
I mean, for crying out loud, like there's
modern
a better
New Age Satanism.
There with Enya in the background. Yeah, there's a better like sub theme of Satanism that runs through Late Night with the Devil than anything in this movie.
Yeah. So that's my point. Like there was a lot of grist for the mill here, and they ignored it entirely.
They missed the mill entirely and just like kept walking and then shot the donkey.
Like, the other interesting thing is that, like, again, if you're going to evoke heavy metal, like, there's so much satanic imagery in death metal, so much so that when you ask an AI to do a food pun death metal album, it'll literally just do Satanism. Yeah. Ask me why I know that.
I know why you know that, because you then spent like 2 hours trying to get it to do what you wanted it to do. Like, I like most of this, but exclude the Satanism. I don't need the pentagram or the inverted cross or the goat head. And it went, okay, here's, you know, I can remove those, but here's your, you know, 666 and your alchemical symbols for brimstone. And
yeah,
like, just stop.
Literally, I was talking about this on the Metal Hammer of Doom. It was just like, once I realized what I had done and what it thought the project was, I was like, the next time we do this, I have to take more control of things, because what you think this is and what I wanted are not the same. And the AI was like, you said death metal. I assumed you meant Satanism. Aren't they not the same, father?
Well, aesthetically.
Poor Fancy.
Look, man, in fairness to the AI, when all you have is like machine learning, those two things overlap almost in a full circle.
You know, if you've listened to enough black metal and death metal as I have, like, if I throw deicide at you, you're going to assume, yes, this is very anti-Christ. This is very anti-Christianity. This is very pro-Satan. If I throw Cannibal Corpse at you, a lot of their stuff was not that. A lot of their stuff was just gross.
Well, again, we're just talking visually, and visually it's almost an overlap. And yeah, you know, Cannibal Corpse would fall into that. You know, there's any number of things.
Let's just say there's a lot of, like, if you look at the grand history of death metal and black metal, a portion of it, a large portion, but a portion is very much a protestation of the Christian religion.
It's
godly knows.
It's just norm transgressing for the sake of norm transgressing. Let me say this respectfully about the death metal movement.
Mm-hmm.
If the norm was Satanism, they would be Christian rock. Like, that's just where that's the like space that they occupy.
Sure.
In terms of, like,
it's got elements of punk rock in there, in the sense of,
if
we're doing yacht rock here, then we're doing the Dead Kennedys here.
Yeah,
but
it's just oppositional for the sake of being oppositional.
I'm with you there. And that's the thing, is like, part of the reason why we're still talking about this, and I'm not headed to the third segment yet, was because the more we talk about this movie, the more I'm realizing there was just so many places for this thing to go that it chooses not to go. But it's in the movie. Like you brought up, like, you know, the allusions to heavy metal, and they don't do anything with it.
Again, like, you know, hey, the government's, you know, doing this shady stuff. Nothing happens with it. Hey, there's a Satanist group that, you know, has a rich benefactor. You know, does that tie into anything? Nope. There's, you know, what are we doing with the FBI? Nothing. They're a backdrop. Do we actually somehow, this piece of crap even manages to avoid the one thing horror's been overdoing for the last 5 to 8 years, which is horror is just a meditation on grief and trauma. You don't even do that right.
Yeah. All right. With that said, would you like to know what the critics thought of this? I'm sure you do.
Please tell me it's still a 0. I really want to see the 0.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Before I do this, when I went to the movies, what was floating on my social media was the first movie of the year to have a 0 Rotten Tomatoes. It's up to 10 now.
Okay, what morons?
We'll find him and we will talk about it. So here we go.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So as you can see, on the tomato meter, it's a 10%. The fan meter, it's 35%. This is just an all critics, and then
there's no top critic dignified this.
So all critics and verified critics, verified audiences are about the same. Critics consensus: better run.
No, Mark, that's qu'est-ce que c'est.
Okay, better run away.
Somehow the AI made the same joke I did at the start of this thing.
Great. All right, let's just here we go. Here we are. Battle Royale with cheese. So I don't read a lot, but we used to read them because that's a stupid name. Battle Royale with cheese. 6 out of 10. George and Josh Bate. Psycho Killer demonstrates that Andrew Kevin Walker hasn't lost his touch for creating gripping serial killer movies.
Boy, has he, though.
What the fuck?
There's nothing gripping about this. Frankly, the serial killing and the actual investigation is nothing. It's a backdrop that means nothing to any of this.
Eric Langberg of Everything's Interesting, clearly.
Clearly.
Culture is a mess, and this movie is kind of a mess. But to my eye, It's a mess that's messy because it's reflecting the larger mess.
You're desperately trying to find meaning in what you're doing.
That's what makes it so fun. And that's why I want to call dibs on the reclamation essay a few decades from now. Oh, go fuck yourself.
No, we're not, buddy. I'm still going to be here. We are not going to do historical revisionism. I have been not, and I'm not alone in this. But Mark, on the wrestling side of things, this is about 8 months ago. There was an effort by some poor misguided fools on the internet to say, you know what, 2013, 2014 Roman Reigns wasn't that bad. The crowds were just terrible.
What, the I taught putty tat Roman Reigns?
Yes.
Ugh.
That era, and every, like, I have never seen a notion slapped down so hard by everyone who actually lived through it. Like, no, Roman became great, one of the best things in wrestling for a long time. He really was. But we're not going to retroactively do, no, he was misunderstood. No, he sucked back then. Everything about it sucked.
Isn't it the same era of Roman Reigns where he forgot his promo in the ring with John Cena?
Yes. We're not that far removed from him being handcuffed and covered in dog food by King Corbin.
Good.
I remember.
David Nucera of Real Theme Reviews, a relentlessly erratic piece of work that feels like it should be so much better.
You were way too kind to this man. Stand on business.
The future ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey, Carla Hay of Culture Mix. The moronic slasher flick Psycho Killer is a cinematic trash dump of plot holes and huge unanswered questions. In this unimaginative story about a highway patrol officer hunting down the serial killer who murdered her husband.
For the record, she did not write this. I did.
Okay. Because she's
Hey,
buried.
there was
right
Jeremy
there.
Johns.
Ugh.
You don't want to read him? Come on.
Oh, fine.
We need
The
people to read on this group. Like, this is not a. We're not combing through the best parts of the internet here on this one. So let's see what we can get.
The future ex-Miss is Alexis Hana, Jeremy Johns of JeremyJohns.com. It just fell flat. It doesn't feel like anything leading up to the ending that was actually leading up to that ending.
That too. Like, they shift genres at the end from like intense serial killer investigation allegedly to Die Hard style finale.
Well, friend of the show, best friend of the show, William Bibiani of The Rap.
Does
Sadly,
not care if we live or die.
Sadly, Psycho Killer wasn't made with style in mind. Actually, it doesn't seem to have had anything on its mind. It's a rudimentary cat and mouse thriller with laughable ideas about Satanism and an absurd, cringy ending.
Yes. Entirely correct, William Bibiani.
And that's it. We're done.
I told you we had to get what we could get out of this one.
Yeah. Well, folks, I don't think
We're going to be
Wembanyama-
shorter than the movie at this point.
I don't think Wembanyama on the Spurs made 24 points tonight. He looked sad. And by the time I tuned into the game in the first quarter, I think he had scored 5 points. And I could not figure out modern NBA basketball if I tried. In his game against the Lakers, he might have been the only guy on that team scoring points. And a game where they won 300-0 against the Lakers because the Lakers had in like their third stringers. Wembanyama scored every
The point where people
in
are
basketball.
We've reached the point where teams are tanking, and the NBA commissioner got pissy at Utah about it, but has said nothing to anyone else about it because
Well, Utah and Toronto are a special kind of bad.
Well-
Utah could be winning 200-0 and will blow it in the fourth quarter.
okay, that's sure, but
Are you a basketball guy? Like, do you watch the Utah Jazz play?
not really.
Well, I have. I have watched as much Utah Jazz as you have watched SmackDown.
There's no way that's true.
And I have seen this team forget how to play basketball for 15 minutes, for 12 minutes.
Look, again, this is not me saying, this is only me saying that, like, the NBA deciding that the two teams they're going to take some kind of principled stance on, being like Utah and Indiana, is pathetic in the extreme. Everyone else is doing the same thing, but now we decide to get up in arms? No. Like, Adam Silver, go play in traffic.
Yeah, no. The NBA is getting harder and harder. Like, I want to watch because I like basketball, but it's getting harder
I
and
used
harder
to
for me
like
watch.
basketball.
Yeah, it's first of all, I get aggravated at people who are paid as much as they do fuck up as badly as they do. I've seen less bricks laid up building a building than these guys throw at the fucking basket. And they're supposed, it's like, why are you taking that many 3-point? I know it's like statistically that's what they say is better, but like, why are you taking that many 3-point shots when you can't hit the fucking thing? Like, these guys aren't driving into the paint. Even
No,
if they
because
do,
then there might be physical contact, and then they'd have to flop.
Yeah, king of flops, by the way, LeBron James. Like somebody's like put together like a reel of him and his best flops,
He's
where he
terrible.
basically, where like somebody looks at him cross-eyed, he just falls over and dies.
How is he not a professional wrestler with his bumping?
Yeah, really.
Because wrestling's snugger, and he'd be more pissy about it.
So, however, college basketball, however, is a lot of fun. At least when
College
they're awkward,
basketball is just the circus.
Well, at least when they're awkward and terrible, they're still college kids, and they're growing. Like, I can kind of see them tripping over each other's dicks, and I've watched that happen, and it's wildly amusing. This is supposed to be the pros, the best of the best, and they look like me when I used to play basketball, or Jason.
You don't know what Jason looks like playing basketball.
I have heard, as much as he's talked about it, I feel like I have.
Okay, fair enough.
Alrighty. This Wednesday, we return to the booth. We're doing Sessions, and we're doing BoJack Horseman, and we're going to turn the BoJack Horseman podcast into a sad Johnny Cash depressing song about depression.
I wonder what the theming will be.
Now, you've already seen the album cover. It's a sad horsey.
Yeah, it's not a bad cover.
So that'll be fun. When I ran the transcript through ChatGPT, that's what it pulled out of here. It was like, this is a show about functional depression. And I'm like, all right, that works for me.
There's a lot of that.
Well, it came from our discussion. So, there's a lot of, if you look at the session schedule, there's a lot of me and you in there, which is my way of taking a shot at everybody else.
On this other show that no one watches, it's all about how Robert and I are having a good time.
That's right.
And all of you need to step up your game.
Thursday is the last show with Jason for the month. We're looking at Glory, Mo Better Blues, and John Q. This is a Denzel Washington focus. And then on
There's
Saturday,
2 good movies in there.
And Saturday, myself and Evan Bevins will conclude Black History Month by looking at Robert Townsend, Hollywood Shuffle, The Meteor Man, and The 5 Heartbeats.
You chose a thing to end on.
He just wanted to watch
Meteor Man was his
Meteor
selling
Man,
point,
and I
so
made
that
him
was
do
it.
all 3. So, a week from Sunday, March 1st, Jesse and I are going to be taking quite a tomb here. We're doing a source material. We're going to look at Batman, Bruce Wayne Murderer, which is a giant book. And then, like I said, Scream
How giant
7.
is it?
Really big.
Oh,
and then
I was trying to play along there.
I
and
know,
You just didn't have
I'm
a punchline.
I'm sorry. And then a double dose of Damn You Hollywood, because Thursday, March 5th is our Oscar nomination show. Because the Oscars will be on the 15th.
And we will have seen most of them by then. We've covered there's maybe 2 that I think between us we haven't seen yet that we'll have to find.
I watched Sentimental Value already. The only thing I have left to watch is The Secret Agent. But we reviewed the other 8.
I was disappointed in Secret Agent when I finally got around to it, pretty seriously.
Oh, okay.
But that's just me. Sentimental Value I enjoyed.
Yeah, it was fine. So that's what's going on with me. What's going on with you?
Well, I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com. WWE SmackDown on Fridays. I covered TNA Impact last Wednesday because I want a bigger paycheck.
Because you're a glutton for punishment.
Because I got asked to, and again, I could use the bigger paycheck. So
that's fair.
I only get paid by the event, folks. Last Saturday was UFC Fight Night 267, headlined by Sean Strickland and Anthony Hernandez. Good main event. Sean Strickland got a finish.
Woo!
I figured it out. He averages one every 2.5 years. He was due. I'm not kidding. That's actually a thing I did on the podcast last night was he got a stoppage. When was the last time he did that? About 2.5, almost 3 years ago. When was the last time before that? Oh, yeah, about that same time. It's not about fights. It's literally about the calendar. About 2.5 years, he gets a finish.
Wonderful.
The prelims were pretty dreadful. If you want my full report, it's in the MMA Zone of 411 Mania. I also talk about it on the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast, which I host late Sunday evening / early Monday morning. This last time we reviewed that card, we previewed the upcoming UFC Fight Night 268. They're in Mexico City, allegedly. Because, oh boy. You saw what happened, Mark?
On the UFC?
No, about Mexico.
Oh yeah, we killed one of the
We
big.
didn't.
They killed one of the big cartel guys, and then Mexico erupted into fucking violence everywhere.
So at the moment, it's still set to that this upcoming event is still set to happen in Mexico City, but we got several days to see if that has to change or not.
Fun times.
So I previewed that card, which has a
Really-
solid main
Really
event.
sad to see the bastion of safety that was Mexico fall to such lows.
You know, it would be nice if the Mexican president wasn't bought and paid for by the cartels, but you know.
These things happen.
Man, the fact that we've gotten to the point where a number of people are going, you know, we need more people to do what Bukele did for El Salvador. And because it involved some pretty aggressive policing and frankly a few things that border on might be human rights violations. But he reduced crime in that country by such a degree that it's now like the safest place in Central America.
Nice.
And because there's a segment of the population that objects to the methods by which he achieved that, and fair enough, there's some criticism to be leveled. They go, so he bought off the cartels to do all of his dirty work, and now he just, houses and abuses people, and we want Mexico to do that? Like, no, we want Mexico to be safe. And the number of, at this point, bits of analysis that have shown there's a relatively small percentage of the population that if you just got rid of them would reduce crime by something like 80% across the board. Look, I'm not advocating for extreme violence.
It just reminds me of the Freakonomics thing. It was like, why do we have this giant surge in crime? Oh, that's right, abortion. Hey, you can't say that. I'm not the one saying it. I'm reading it out of a book. Yeah, but we don't like you.
The number of people who have never been able to overcome the elephant problem is a real one. Have you heard this before? It's a visualization tool for persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
Visualize a guy riding an elephant. Who's deciding where they're going? The elephant. But you talk to the other guy. The human in this sense is like your logical processes. The elephant is like the emotional resonance. If people like you, they will listen to you even if you're stupid.
Right.
Whereas if they don't like you,
in the case of that, it was Freakonomics that had done a study, and they had said that they had posited the reason why we didn't have the rise of the super criminal as had been predicted was because the babies that would have gone on to be super criminals were aborted because we had just done Roe v. Wade. And Bill Bennett talked about it on his radio show, and everyone got mad at Bill Bennett.
Which is a choice.
Which, for those of you who don't know who Bill Bennett or Freakonomics were, the guys in Freakonomics are very liberal. Bill Bennett, very Republican. It's like...
It's literally, we've reached the point where it's literally just the messenger and the vibes they give off, not what they're actually saying.
The vibes. Right, anything else? Because I want to go to bed.
Again, this week we'll have SmackDown. It's the Go Home Show for Elimination Chamber. UFC event on Saturday. Back here next week for a good time. Mark, a good time.
A good time. A Satan having good time.
No.
All right. For Robert Winfrey, I'm the Gotor. Be well, be safe, and behave.